Hey, what's up, guys? So today I decided to finally work on this video that I've been thinking about doing, which is the basics of sports betting. I'm going to be using, instead of trying to recreate the wheel and trying to, explain it from scratch, which I am actually going to do, explain it from scratch. But rather than trying to think of the ideas and come up with all this stuff, I'm just going to use something that's already created, which is under covers. But then I'll use my personal explanation on how you would do that, especially if you're brand new to sports betting. Then this tutorial that I'm making for you, if you're brand new, is something that I wish somebody would have explained to me, because I did spend a lot of money and a lot of time, and especially losing. While I was learning, I was losing a lot. So let me just start explaining to you the basics. So if you're a beginner, this video is going to help you out. And if you already are advanced, it might help you, capture some stuff that maybe you didn't know. So let me just get started. So basically, the most basic level is that you're betting on an outcome of a game or a player. So for example, you're going to say LeBron James is going to score 20 points, yes or no? And then that's either the over or the under, and then they'll give you a line. So based on his statistics, how he plays against the team, things like that. Same thing with the games. It tells you that there's a percentage that this person is going to hit. You got to look at his last 10 games, injuries, how he plays against the other team, how he plays at home. There's a lot of factors that go into this stuff. Let me just show you my little sports dashboard that I created for myself. This is my sports dashboard that I created for myself. So you can see we get our own head-to-head trends. So we scrape other websites and we pull a lot of information. Then we also have insights. So let me give you an example of an insight. So the example of the insight would be something like, for example, that the Bulls, when they play at home, they're 80% versus any team that has a very weak defense, for example. That's an insight. And then the line move, basically that's telling you that the line started at a certain number and now it's at another number. So it can either be a positive thing or a negative thing. Those are a little bit more, that's more advanced. It's not such a basic concept, but that's something that you need to start understanding, that the casinos look at something called line moves, and that tells them where the money's going, where the money was at, where the game started, and things like that. So that's a very important factor, but it's more advanced and it's not going to be covered in this video because, again, it's more advanced. Same thing with the over-unders. So this is a little bit easier to explain. Is basically, let's say the line started at 230 for the total points, let's say the Lakers versus the Bulls, and it started at 230 and it dropped to 228. So it dropped 2 points. And what that means is that now the line is shifting down. So it's that same concept with the line spread, but again, it's a little more complicated to explain on the spread. Now, the projections is actually professional people. They go out and they do all this research and they basically give you a projection. So they'll say, for example, the Bulls are going to win this game by 5 points. And the reason we say that is because, when they're at home, they're 80% chance to hit. The Lakers suck on the road. The Lakers are on a back-to-back, etc. So then they do all this research, they do everything for you, and they basically give you a projection. So again, you can start to see how complicated this can get and how much information that the books have against you. So they have a very strong data set. They have they deposit and they invest multi millions of dollars to get this sort of data against you. So if you're just basically thinking that you're going to go and get the head-to-head data, like the last 10 games, what the team did, and you have a little bit of an edge or whatever, you think you have an edge, trust me when I tell you it gets very deep and very complicated. But there's also ways that you can kind of compete, because if you have at least the very basic knowledge of it, then you're a little bit more ahead of the game. Instead of saying, I love that team, and then you throw your money on it, and then you lose and you don't know why you lost. At least with this information, the basic knowledge, then at least you have a reasoning why you lost. So I'm going to give you an example. Yesterday I had OKC Thunder versus the Timberwolves. Now the Timberwolves beat the shit out of them. They lost by 15 points or something like that. So I lost my bet. However, everything was showing that OKC was supposed to win. Now, the one factor I did notice is that they were on a back-to-back, meaning the OKC Thunder were playing 2 games in a row. and they traveled. So because they traveled and because they played the night before, so did the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves did play the night before as well, but they didn't travel. So both teams were tired, but one of them traveled and the other one did not. That difference right there where they were tired, that made all the difference. So they ended up losing. Again, that's something that you need to keep aware of when making these bets. So the last thing I'll talk about is the injuries. Obviously, if you know, like for example, let's say LeBron James is going to sit out the next game, then you know damn well that the Lakers might lose that game. Or I wouldn't say lose the game, but at least it'll make a huge impact on that team because they rely so much on LeBron James. So this is another section which is injuries. I hope this is all making sense. If none of this makes sense or you want me to explain something a little bit better, make sure you comment. Also, make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so. We give a lot of free information. Also, if you want to get ahead of the curve a little bit, we do all this research for you already. So if you want to learn this, you're getting picks while you're learning this stuff. We do have an option in the link in the description. Click on free, and then you'll be getting the alerts on your phone and your email. Also, if you don't want to worry about this, you don't want to deal with it, you don't want to have to learn this whole new technology or this whole terminology on spreads and over unders and money lines and all this stuff, then you just go to the bottom and it says VIP. And basically we put our very best plays right here. And we don't share everything because we do a lot of testing and stuff like that, but we try to do our very best plays and we put them right into the VIP. So you can see there's options that say 1 day pass, 1 week pass, 1 month pass, and 6 month pass. So you can just, again, go to the link in the description and click on VIP, and then you'll see those options. Also, don't forget to subscribe. All right, now let me just go down the list right here. I'm just going to go now based. I hope you got a basic understanding of what kind of mindset you need to have. But let me just go down this list right here and start explaining what they're explaining, if I can explain it a little bit better. So you don't have to go and try to read this and understand it all. I'll just give you the basic concepts. So, for example, right here is telling you that the Eagles were, when they first opened up this line to win the Super Bowl, they were at a plus 1,700. What that means is that if you would have put in $100, they would have given you a plus 1,700, which means $1,700. That's what that plus money means. So you put in 100 and they give you whatever that plus is. So plus 1,700. So when it got closer to the game, that same $100, they would have only given you $105. Now, this is another little important side note, but it's very important as well. You can see right here, you see FanDuel offers it at a plus 105. DraftKings offers it at a plus 100. MGM 110, and so on. So the same $100 on MGM would give you $110 back. Now on FanDuel, the same $100 will give you $105 back. So you're getting $5 less just by going with FanDuel rather than MGM. Same thing with the other ones. Look at Bet Rivers; they're giving you 100 for 100. DraftKings 100 for 100. So if I told you, give me 100, and I'll give you 100 back. I mean, that's when you do with your friends and stuff. But if you were able to get 110 from the casino rather than 100 from your friend, why not do that? You know what I mean? So this is called line shopping. So that's a little side note. But basically, you want to always get the best value for your money, is what I'm trying to say there. Now, favorites and underdogs. So, for example, a favorite means that they're minus 3 points right here for the Chiefs. And then over here is the Ravens, a plus 3. So what this means is that there's a point spread. So when you start the game, the best way I can describe it is that if you start the game and you had a minus 3, that means that the Chiefs now have to win by 4 because you're down 3 points automatically. That's what you're saying. I'm so confident in the Chiefs to win that I'm giving you 3 points. Now, if they win by 3, then you break even. You don't win or lose. But if you win by 4, then you win. Now, if they win by 2, you still lose because, again, you gave them 3 points. Same thing with the plus side on the opposite. So now when you're starting the game, you have the Ravens plus 3 points. So now if they lose by 2 points, you still win because you have 3 points. Same thing with the over-unders. And now the reason that they do halves like this, so 46.5, so that it's not a break even. So it has to land on 47 or it has to land, over 47 or it has to land under 47. Either way, wherever it lands, over that number or under that number is not going to hit 46.5. It's going to have to hit over 47 or under 47. That's why they put that 0.5 right there. So now on this bet right here, for this example, you would go over 47. So if it goes over 47, you win. If it goes under 47, you lose. So don't let this 0.5 scare you. It's just either over that number or under that number. And then the money line just means straight up who you think is going to win. Again, that goes back to how much money you would win. So if I put in $100 right here, they're giving me a minus 155. So I would only get like $45 back. Now, if I went over here $100, they're going to give me 130 back. So my same 100 is now worth 130 if they win. But the same 100 here is minus the 155, which is minus $55, $45. I hope that's making sense. Again, if doesn't make sense or something that you're not understanding something, make sure you comment and then I'll explain it better. All right, now as far as parlay bets, a lot of people try to show you these huge slips, and the casinos make a lot of money off parlays. So the reason they make a lot of money off parlays is because they lose. So basically, if you put in one bet, like for example, Kansas City Chiefs to win at the money line at the minus 155, like I had just said, you have a chance that they're going to hit 50-50, whatever it is. You know what I mean? There's a lot of indications. It's not always 50-50. But what I'm trying to say is that if they win, you win. If they lose, they lose. Now, if you add a parlay, you add another leg to that, and then you say, all right, I want the Chiefs to win and I want the Eagles to win. So now both teams have to win. All of a sudden, it's not like you're adding more value. You're actually dropping your value. So you have a less chance of hitting that two teams to win instead of just one team to win. And the more legs you add to that, so let's say you want the Bulls to win, you want the Chiefs to win, and you want the Eagles to win. That's called a 3-leg parlay. Now, the odds of that happening are diminished a lot. So the more legs you add is the worst you're going to have a chance to win. So again, when it says right here, what does a minus 110 mean? Normally they call that the juice. So automatically, most of the time, you're going to see that number where it's a minus 110 or worse. The reason that minus 110 exists is that the casino is getting 10%. So let's say you put up $100, they're going to offer you $90 back. Same thing, like for example, here, the 76ers are minus 110 and the Celtics are minus 110. So even though that they believe the value is there and you believe the value is there, they're not going to give you 100 to 100. Most of the time, you're going to pay the juice, whatever that is. It's not always going to be minus 110. It could be any number, just like the example with the Chiefs, minus 155. What that is that they call that the juice. Right here, this is very important. It says, how much should you wager on a bet? So basically, you always want to do 2% of your bankroll. So if you had a total bankroll of $5,000, then you want to do 2% of that. So this is bankroll management. Basically, what you want to do is you never want to go over 2% of your total bankroll. So if you have a $5,000 bankroll, you only want to do 2% of that. You don't ever want to be in the position where you have $5,000 and you see something you love and you throw $1,000, because even if it does win, at the long term, you're risking 1/5 of your bankroll. But if you're doing 2%, it doesn't matter what happens. Like if they lose, you're not down $1,000. You're only down, like, let's say $20. So now the same thing with it doesn't matter if you're trying to, if you're going to win or lose, it doesn't matter because you're doing a bankroll and they call it a unit size. So everything is based on your bankroll and your unit size. And the unit size should be 2% of your bankroll. Again, if the simple example I'll give you, let's say you had $1,000 bankroll, then 2% of that is $20. So here's some sports betting tips. This is just from covers. Be selective. Obviously, you don't want to just throw anything just to throw something. The home away, how they do on the home versus when they're away. I use the example of the Bulls. When they're at home, they're a lot better than when they're away. The line moves, again, that's a little more complicated to understand. I would not really focus on this if you're a beginner. You can just, you do want to understand this at some level, at some point. But right now, it's not that important. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. It's super important, but it's not that important for you to learn it right now. You can get away with other stuff and then learn this later. Injuries and weather, obviously, if it's snowing and it's a blizzard. I'll give you an example. There was a game where it was Cleveland Browns, and I forgot, I think they were playing the Pittsburgh Steelers or something like that. And I started to notice, actually, it was in San Francisco. So I started to notice that they showed the crowd, and nobody was talking about the rain that day. But then they started showing the crowd, and the crowd were like with the ponchos, and they were like covered up, and you could tell they were cold. And I have family in in California, in San Francisco area. So I know it doesn't get that cold over there. And when they were like, you could see it was freezing. They were freezing and they were like covered up and stuff. I was like, man, this rain is really coming down. So nobody was talking about it. So then I went online and I typed in weather in San Francisco, and then it said it was going to be a blizzard, or not a blizzard, but like a heavy rainstorm, and that they were expecting flooding and all this other stuff. And I said, this game is not going to. Nobody was even talking about it. So I said, you know what? I went live and I bet the under that they were not going to score, because I started seeing when they were throwing the ball, it was slipping out of their hand. When the guy was trying to catch it, it was bouncing off their chest. So I'm like, man, this rain is causing a lot of errors and stuff like that. Sure enough, I hit the under on that live. And then after they didn't score shit, like for the first half, when the second half started, then the announcers finally started talking about it. They said, man, this rain has caused a lot of issues. The rain has caused, people slipping, missing passes, the throwing, all this stuff. So I guess I'm giving you the long version of this, but you always want to take into consideration the injuries and the weather. If they're playing outdoors, obviously, for the weather. Money management, I've already talked about it. The trends, that's when you just look at the head-to-head trends, like let's say what this team did against that team, or what this team has done by themselves. Know when to stop. Again, that goes back to your bankroll management. You don't want to have 5,000 and then you're down 5,000 and then you throw another 1,000. Like, you want to have a bankroll management system. And if you start losing that, you don't want to be chasing those bets. Also, you want to shop around. That's what I explained earlier. When let's say one book is offering you a plus 110 and the other one is offering you a plus 100, then you want to go with the one that's going to give you the most money. Bet with your head, not with your heart. That's very important. Again, I'm not going to go and say, oh, I'm going to bet on the Bears because I'm from Chicago. The Bears suck. Even though I love the Bears, they suck. So I'm not going to go and bet the Bears just because I love them. That's what that means. Bet with your head, not with your heart. And respect the market. So you always want to respect the market. These bookies and these sports books are one of the smartest people in the world. Don't take that for granted. You can actually start learning how to read what they're doing and what they're saying and using that to your advantage. All right, guys, I think that breaks down the very basics. And one final note I will say is don't chase your losses. So if you're losing, let's say you had a losing day or a losing week or whatever, especially like you're feeling like shit about it, don't try to go and force something. Like, don't say, man, I've been losing all day today, so let me go run in there and find another bet to make my money back. That's one of the worst things that'll kill you on this journey. So do not do that. And that's called chasing your bets. You do not want to chase your bets. If you have any questions, again, make sure you comment. Go to the link in the description. Also, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this video. If you want more stuff like this, I give a lot of value. I give a lot of free stuff. So once again, if you haven't done so, make sure you go to the link in the description, click on free. That way you can get all the free stuff that we post, such as free plays, free stuff that we like. We do all the research. We have robots, scrapers. There's a team of people that look at this stuff every day. So we're on this consistently. We've been doing this for years. If you want the free information, go to the link in the description, click on free. Also, make sure you subscribe. If you want all the stuff, you don't have to want to worry about, thinking about all this stuff and checking all the players, checking the injuries, checking the weather, checking whether they're at home, checking if they played yesterday. You don't want to worry about none of that stuff. Just get the VIP package. Again, there's 4 different options there for 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, and 6 months. And finally, please subscribe if you found value in this video. Make sure you comment if you haven't done so. And I would appreciate it very much if you can like this video. Thank you so much and have a good day.